Hi everyone, welcome to the One Stop Wrestling YouTube channel again. This time I've got one of Canada's upstarts joining us. Please welcome Zoe Sager. Hi Zoe, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, not a problem. Very excited.
How's the weather over there today?
Very, very cold. It's sunny for once, but very cold.
That's what I expect from Canada.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. You've been wrestling since 2018
Yes.
with PWA. How did it all start? How did you first get into becoming a wrestler?
Like as a wrestler or as a fan?
As a wrestler, how did you first get into training?
Yeah, so it was like my senior year of high school and I just wasn't feeling going back to school and whatever. And so I had been watching wrestling for a while at that point, and so I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do it, and had searched up wrestling schools. And Lance Storm had his wrestling school in Calgary, and I live in Edmonton, and so it's 2.5 hours away, and I have family in Calgary, and so it wasn't like too far away. But I told myself I wouldn't apply. Whatever, I'll get through exams. I'll get through my senior year, whatever. And then exams hit and I did not have have a great time doing exams, and so I did the first one and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna apply. I don't want to go to school in the fall. I don't want to go to school in the next little bit. So I applied, and then I got in, and so I trained with Lance in the May 2018 session, and it was so much fun. I made friends that like I still talk to every single day and still wrestle and train with like a couple of them too. And it was really, really awesome. And then this session was like 12 weeks. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, I knew PWA was having a show coming up. And so I messaged the promoter and was like, hey, remember me from when I only went to 2 shows to help set up, because there were only 2 shows. I trained with Lance, like, what do you think? And thank goodness Kurt, he booked me, and he has booked me for every show since, and it's been really awesome.
So what was it like having your first match? What was going through your mind?
I was very, very, very nervous, because when I was first given the idea of, or what the idea was for like how I was gonna debut, it was gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be a plant in the crowd, like you're not actually going to, like, you're gonna end up having a match, but like it's gonna kind of be like a weird little, you're gonna be a crowd, you're gonna challenge Kat, and then I got to the show and like things changed. Like, okay, Kat's gonna do this thing, and then you're gonna come out and you're gonna have to cut a promo, and then you guys are gonna have to have a match. And at that point, I was no longer nervous about having to wrestle. I was nervous about having to talk in front of people and like, what am I gonna say? I don't even know who I am as a wrestler. Like, what's even going on? And so like, what was running through my head was like, I can't mess up this promo. I have to like figure out the words that I have to say so that way I don't like sound stupid in front of the crowd. And yeah, then had our match, and it was I don't remember much. I remember we went like maybe 6-ish. I think we were given like 6. And then at the end of the match, Kat won. And I remember she goes to throw me out of the ring afterwards because she's a heel. And all I remember is like, oh, I'm so glad Lance taught me how to be thrown out of the ring. That's the only thing, like, it was like one of the last couple things that we learned, like, before leaving Lance's, was how to get thrown out of the ring. And all I remember was like, oh, I know how to do this. I'm okay. So that was fun.
So how prepared were you for a promo? Because obviously being trained with Lance, but were you prepared on how to cut a promo in front of a live crowd?
No, I am still, anytime I have to cut a promo, I feel very unprepared. I'm not the biggest fan of public speaking. And so Like it was very, very, very nerve-wracking. Like if I'm given like what I need to like points that I need to hit, like I can like get by. I'm not very good by any means. But at that point we had only had 2 promo classes at Lance's, and those were like very different. It's very different, like cutting a promo in front of like your classmates while you're trying to learn, and then in front of a live crowd where like you have to be loud and like emphasize like certain points a little bit differently than like just standing in front of a camera being like, I'm gonna wrestle you sort of thing. So it was very intimidating.
Do you feel you're getting more comfortable with them as time progresses?
Yeah, I'm getting more comfortable with it. I don't get like a lot of opportunities to like have to cut a promo in front of a crowd. Yeah. But my like trainer has like forced me to like cut promos for every match, even if I don't actually cut promos for every match, but encourage me to like actually post them and actually cut promos for all the matches that I have. Because at this point, like if I don't practice them, if I don't get them out there, I'm never going to learn how to be able to do it. And so as scary as it is, I try my best to. Not super good at doing them all the time yet, but hopefully I'll get into a routine.
Yeah. So you did touch on like your training with Lance Storm.
Yeah.
How's that been? Do you feel grateful that you've been trained by someone with a lot of people who consider one of the greatest in wrestling history?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I was able to train with Lance, especially considering like he closed his school a year and a half later. And so I was like one of the very last few people to be able to get that knowledge in that learning environment. Like other people, I'm sure, like when he went and was a producer for WWE for that little bit of time, like he was able, the talent there was able to like get the knowledge, but I feel like it's that weren't able to get it beforehand. And I feel like it's just a slightly different environment. So I'm very, very grateful that I was able to learn from him. And like it was like a lot of basics, and basics are so important. I still am trying to do them like to this day. So I feel very fortunate that I was able to learn from Lance and have that start into the business.
Do you still have communication with Lance, whereas if you needed to ask him a question, you can still ask him?
I'm sure I could. I didn't talk to him online at all, like while I was training. And so I felt uncomfortable messaging him after the fact. And that's just on me. And so I don't have much communication with him. I'm sure if we follow each other on Instagram and Twitter. So I'm sure if I sent him like a DM or something, asking him a question, like he'd respond. But honestly, I don't know. And I haven't had a whole lot of interaction with him after the fact. No.
He does always seem like a very approachable guy.
Yeah, he's
from what I can tell.
Great.
He always seems like one of those people who just want to help people and make those people better, which is always really nice to see. So currently at the moment, you're wrestling at Real Canadian Wrestling. For people watching this who might be like, Real Canadian Wrestling? What's that? What is Real Canadian Wrestling?
Real Canadian Wrestling, they're promotions that run primarily in Edmonton and Calgary, Alberta. They'll do like out of town, like more rural towns as well. They have been RCW has been running throughout the pandemic. So PWA shut down at the beginning of not actually shut down, but stopped running at the beginning of the pandemic, and just haven't had a show back there. There's plans to come back soon and just like venues and insurance and stuff, just waiting for like the right timing for them. But Real Canadian Wrestling was started running as soon as restrictions were lifted enough that like they could have like 50 fans, is when they started running again. And they started running weekly, and they were running, and then restrictions got brought down again. And then when they came back, it was almost a year and a half since like I had wrestled and a lot of my friends had wrestled. And so we went to then started wrestling for Real Canadian Wrestling, and it's been like really, really, really fun. Being able to have usually at least 2 shows a month or 2 shows a week. They're running weekly in both Edmonton and Calgary, and I've been able to learn so much, and work a lot of really, really awesome people. And it's just been like crazy wild ride the last 6 months.
So yeah, you do mention the pandemic, and it's so difficult to have any conversation in the world anywhere at the moment without bringing up the pandemic. How much do you feel that it's kind of held you back in your progress so far?
I don't think it's held back my progress as a wrestler. It was the timing of the pandemic was like tough. Like PWA was going to have their like big anniversary show. That show got canceled because of the pandemic, and I was like super excited for it. It was going to be like, I was going to end up having a singles match, which I hadn't had at one of the really big shows yet. And then there's going to be things coming out of it that I was so excited for, and then that shut down. But I don't think it ended up like stunting my progress at all, because there was a school that had just opened up like in the pandemic, Top Talent Wrestling Academy in Edmonton, and being able to go there. I started going there literally 7 days a week. I was in the ring 7 days a week for like a number of months, and then now I'm in 4 days a week just because shows get in the way, or I guess 3. But I'm in there as often as I can, and because of being able to train while there weren't shows, I was able to like learn different things without like having to worry about like, oh, is this right? Be able to like actually learn how to like work properly, and without a crowd makes it harder but also easier when you're training. Like having those training matches without a crowd, it's like harder because you don't hear the fan reactions that you like think or you want to get, but also easier because you don't have to worry about like the fans that like aren't playing the game sort of thing. Like you're able to like get down and try different things. So it was so much fun.
That's really cool. So I kind of want to bring up something like now, if you go on your Twitter profile, you have this little introduction video. And during that video, you do quite a gnarly Canadian destroyer.
Oh.
What is it about the Canadian destroyer that, because obviously P.T. Williams, right? I'm always going to claim P.T. Williams created the Canadian destroyer. But what draws people in to wanting to learn the move and add it to their arsenal?
Honestly, for the Canadian destroyer, I think the first time I did it, my trainer just kind of grabbed me as like, you're gonna give me this. It was just like threw me through it, and so like Canadian destroyer, it's just so cool. It's a flipping pile driver, and pile drivers are like right now are my favorite move to like see, because they look so gnarly and like so gross, and like genuinely I get worried every time I see one. And then it's like a flip, and then I'm Canadian, so Canadian destroyer, it's sweet.
And who do you think has the best Canadian destroyer currently? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Oof. I'm going to say referee Ben Oman. It will make sense to you, but if you look up the Real Canadian Wrestling like Instagram page, it got posted there. You'll see it. It's sweet.
I'm definitely gonna have to check this out because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So not only are you known for that, but you're also known for doing some intergender matches.
Yes.
How's that been?
I love intergender wrestling. I've had some of my favorite matches have been intergender matches. And I think especially around here, right now I can think of 7 girls who wrestle in Alberta. And so that really, it's a very small pool of people who like I have, if intergender wrestling isn't a thing, who I have been able to wrestle with. And I've wrestled there's a couple new girls, but pretty well every female wrestler in Alberta right now. And I've only been in the business for 3 years. And so if I can only wrestle those people, I'm only going to be able to learn how to wrestle those people. And they all work like their style. And so I'm only going to be able to know how to work with like those specific styles. Yeah. Whereas with intergender wrestling, there's so many more people and styles and things that I can do. Plus, and then also like a lot of the girls, not necessarily a fault of their own, but don't always know how to base for things. And oftentimes it's just because like there's not someone to teach them how to do things. Like I have a friend who once asked a girl like, and then I'll give you like a head scissor there, and she's like, I don't know how to take it. And so like they just don't know oftentimes, and at shows you can't always teach. Like then and there, There's no craft pad there. There's not always time to like show and get confident enough to be able to do it on a show. Whereas like dudes oftentimes know how to base for those already, just because other dudes have done it to them, and then like the size difference helps, don't have to worry about it. And then there's so many different stories you can tell, and it's so much fun being able to tell like different stories of the different dynamics in that, and it's so much fun.
So I'm going to ask your opinion. So obviously I am a fan of intergender wrestling. I've always enjoyed it. I grew up watching China basically destroy the entire WWF roster back in the Attitude Era, and it was amazing. But what's your opinion on people like Jim Cornette, who, excuse my language, kind of shit over intergender wrestling? What do you say to those people?
So like I get it, everyone has their own opinions, and it's kind of like everyone has their box of things that they enjoy. Like for me, I love intergender wrestling, I love all that stuff. Hate death matches, hate them, can't watch them. They they make me queasy. I can't watch them. It's not in my box. And like for that, for like intergender wrestling, it's probably a very similar thing. Like they just don't enjoy it. Oftentimes, like I've been guilty of it. I've been in intergender matches where the story doesn't make sense. Like we're trying to tell this story of like whatever, and like it doesn't make sense, and you can't like objectively, like it doesn't make sense, even if it's like just the story of what we're doing. And so like I can understand like where that happens, but also like in my other sports that I've played in my life, like I was an amateur wrestler in high school, and I was the only girl on the team. And so like I wrestled with the dudes. I learned how to like do all the things. And so I don't know why it's such an issue when it comes to like that sort of stuff. And also I train with guys. I learned how to wrestle with the guys. So why can't I do it on a show? Is kind of, but like, as long as like you're entitled to your own opinion, as long as you're not intentionally trying to offend anybody with your opinion, like honestly, you do you.
I think it's like so frustrating because it's just like so much wrestling. There's something for everybody. So
Yeah,
you've got WWE, you've got AEW, you've got Impact, you've got GCW, you've got New Japan Pro Wrestling, you've got Pro Wrestling Law, you've got World of Stardom.
yeah,
But you'll always get these people who will focus on the one niche that they don't like
yeah,
and drag it down, which I always say, there's so much out there. Watch what you enjoy. Life is short.
yeah,
Don't rag on people for what they love and what they do.
yeah,
And wrestling is art. It's, if you go to a museum, it's the same. It's all about interpretation of what you personally like.
exactly. Yeah.
So what is your next step? Do you see yourself coming out of Canada, wanting to maybe potentially move into the US independent scene at any point?
I honestly would love to. It's kind of difficult right now, just still pandemic restrictions.
Yeah.
It's easier now because the border is like land throughout the pandemic, it was just like you could only fly to the States. Now land borders are open. And there's less restrictions now, but there's some restrictions. And I'd love to go down to the States. It's very difficult though, without having a work visa and worrying about possibly getting that stamp and possibly getting banned for like 5 to 10 years, depending on like the border agent you get and whatever. So like it's very, very difficult. Like it is possible to do it. Like there's different things you can do, but it's very difficult. I would love to. There's so many promotions that like I watch, and I would just love to work with a lot of the people there. And also I have like a couple of friends down in the States, and it would just be like really cool to be able to like work with them, sort of things. Right now I'm just like wanting to like just wrestle more and for different places. Like I at the end of the month, yeah, it's February now, at the end of the month, like I'm going out to BC for the first time, and that's going to be like so much fun. And then would love to go out to like Ontario and East,
Yeah.
because I have family out there too, and that would be really cool to have like those family members who like haven't seen me wrestle yet be able to see it. So just
So again, I'm going to put you on the spot.
yeah.
American independent scene. Who have you got your eye on? Who do you want to wrestle?
Want to wrestle so many people. Thunder Rosa is up there. She's like so cool. Roxy, ROH Women's Champion. Like she's just so crazy good, and I see like I've watched her matches, and I can see like all the different things that like we'd be able to do together would be like really cool. I'd love to work Toni Storm because she's in the States now. I know she's Russian, but like she's in the States right now. Like Toni Storm is like literally top of the list. I was very sad that she asked for her release, obviously. But selfishly, I was like, does this mean we can wrestle at some point? Like, is this something that could happen? That would be like really, really cool. Also, Gigi Ray, she originally trained in Alberta here, and I've only had one singles match with her, and I want to be able to. And then we're gonna have another one, but then that show got postponed with or rescheduled with COVID, and then it didn't end up happening. Me and her in the match. So I want to be able to wrestle her again multiple times, not just one more time. But so those are off the top of my head without having to like go into my like following on Instagram and be reminded of, oh right, that person.
I would pay money easily for a match with Toni Storm. I've always considered Toni Storm like one of the most underrated wrestlers on the planet.
Yes. She's so good.
All you need to do is go and watch World of Stardom,
Yes.
Progress Wrestling here in the UK, and you will see how underutilized she was in WWE. Now, she had some great moments. She won the Mae Young Classic. She made the main roster.
Yeah.
But I still feel like she was so underutilized. And obviously a match with Thunder Rosa, who obviously is absolutely killing it in AEW
Awesome.
at the moment. So I'm going to give you a dream scenario. You get 3 contracts in the post, one from Impact Wrestling, one from AEW, one from WWE. Same money, same length in years. Where do you sign?
WWE. I fell in love with wrestling watching WWE. Like, I can't not go for like the dream. Also, because like I'd love to wrestle Sasha. I'd love to wrestle Bailey. I'd love to wrestle like all of the girls. I'm not saying that like Impact doesn't have women that I would want to Impact and AEW don't have women that I would love to work with.
Yeah.
But I don't know. WWE is the dream. I couldn't ask for anything better than that. If like I have to choose, it's WWE.
What's your thoughts on the current WWE product? Because it gets like a lot of negativity on like the social media outlets at the moment.
Yeah. I feel like people focus on like there's good and bad in everything.
Absolutely.
Like if you want to pick it apart, yeah, you can find the negatives easily, but you can find that in AEW, you can find that in Impact, you can find that on literally any promotion. And so I think just because like they've been around for so long sort of thing, and so like it's easy to pick at, it's easy to like compare, because also there's so much good that they can compare to in the past. Like they've been around for long enough that you can be like, oh, it's not as good as it was in this era, but there's also so much good in WWE, and I think people just focus on the negative just because they want to focus on the negative. But then there's like these killer matches. Like last week was AJ Styles versus Austin Theory, and say whatever, but that match was so crazy good.
Austin
like I'm
Theory
watching it and I'm like, this is the
future.
wildest match I've seen. They had so much time in that match. They did so many cool things, and I'm like, how can people be like all like negative about sure, whatever, but like they're putting on good wrestling, they're putting on a good entertaining product, and people just like to focus on the negative, I think, just because it's easier.
I absolutely totally agree. From my personal standpoint, I feel WWE are going through a kind of reboot phase. It's almost like when they were in the new generation before they were going into the Attitude, where everything's becoming streamlined. They had like a kind of pandemic era that no one wanted, but they had to go with it. They've come out of it. Do they know what they want? No, I don't think they do. But let's be honest, Vince McMahon is the best promoter on the planet. He's done it long enough. We'll see what it brings. So for like somebody that's like young and upcoming as yourself, you've got opportunities that wrestlers, let's say 15, 20 years ago, never had via social media. How important do you think social media has become for people like yourself in wrestling?
It's very important, and I only get reminded of it like the more I'm on it, realizing like how just how important it is. You can't like a lot of the people who have gotten big on the independent scenes, especially in the States and in Canada and like England as well, first got their name out on social media. Like you can't, sure, you can have great matches, like, and word of mouth is a thing, but unless you have like the Twitter followers to be able to like promote things, you're not going to be able to always be booked in on or be able to get booked on certain things because you don't have the following. So like, are you a draw? If like you're not going to bring pay-per-view views, like why are we going to book you if you don't, like, if who wants to watch you? And it's your Twitter followers, it's your Instagram followers, it's the people who just see your tweets, don't necessarily follow you. It's everything. It's so important, and I am not good at it at all, but I'm trying. And like, I know like I should be posting like more often, but it's a work in progress. But I'm gonna shut this.
I think people like Danhausen. That's okay. I think people like Danhausen and also now Kid Bandit are a couple of people who can show what social media can do for them. Because I won't lie, I had no idea who Danhausen was before he joined Ring of Honor, and I kept seeing, I was like, who's this Danhausen? And the same with Kid Bandit, who's had a couple of appearances on AEW Dark. It's social media is a wonderful thing. Take away all that negativity, and it can do so much good for you.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask. So Canada, what's in the water over there? Because Canada keeps producing. Bless you. So Canada, it keeps producing these world-class wrestlers. Why do you think that so many of the all-time greats come from Canada?
I think some of it, like, I've thought of it like a number of times because like people bring it up because like there's the Bretts, the everyone, and I think like we're a very large country, but we're also a very small country, and so the people who are able to like and like we're very spread out, and it's hard to get a lot of eyes because we are like so small. In actuality, so the people who are able to like break through and like get seen are the best of the best. Like they have to be, because like we have to put our best foot forward, because we only get seen so rarely, sort of thing. And it's very hard being, especially right now, being an independent wrestler in Canada. Like when I'm going to BC at the end of the month, I'm flying out, but if I were to be driving out, it's a 14-hour drive to Vancouver. To like, if the shows in Alberta aren't in Edmonton, it's a 2.5-hour drive. If I want to go to Saskatchewan, it's like a 5 or an 8-hour drive. If I want to go to Manitoba, it's another 14-hour drive. And then Ontario, it's like a 2-day drive. Like it's very hard to be able to get your name out there and be able to like travel and get to all these places. And so because it's very difficult, it almost weeds out the people who want to stake and place it. You have to be so hungry if you want to make it in as an independent wrestler in Canada. And so I think because we are so spread out, only the best and only the people who are willing to like push themselves and get where they want are making it. And so that makes us very good. And also we're Canadians, so we're pretty okay.
So your all-time Canadian Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Oh no, Bret, obviously. Like can't do anything without saying Bret. I'm so bad at like thinking of people. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Just because I'm watching back all of the old NXT. I'm gonna put Tyler Breeze up there just because I really love I very much enjoy his work. He's very good. Lance and I'm gonna say this. this is nothing. This is strictly wrestling related.
Okay.
Benoit. So strict wrestling, his wrestling ability puts him there. But yeah, I'll go with those four. Just for fun.
So yeah, the Chris Benoit is such a tough conversation because
I know.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody will ever know what truly happened. It's awful. It's unforgivable. But yes, if you go back and watch the WWE Network,
so good.
he was in his prime in WWE. If you go back and watch his feuds with guys of Jericho and that, he always put on a 5-star match. There was no holding back. So yes, despite how tough it is to always bring up Benoit's name, you'll always be remembered for being one of the one-time greats.
Yes.
So I have some questions, but it's going to allow fans to get to know you a little bit better and how you became a wrestling fan in the first place. So the first question is, what was the first wrestling show you remember watching on TV?
Oh, that's hard to say. Oh no. The first wrestling show I saw on TV, it was probably Raw. Like my dad was a fan, like his whole life, and his family was always a fan. And so like I always knew that wrestling was on, and so it was probably Raw that I watched. Do I remember which episode or what year? Absolutely not. But I'm assuming I feel like Raw is a safe bet.
See, I can never remember the first one. I always remember because we never got it live in the UK, so it was either WrestleMania 4 or WrestleMania 6 on VHS. But I can never truly remember what was the first one I ever watched either. And I'm also showing my age there as well. The first wrestling show you attended in person?
Oh, that was, what was it? It was a RC, no, it wasn't. It was a live event, WWE live event in Edmonton in, I want to say 2016. It's the first live show that I went to. Then the first live independent show. Yeah. Oh, I don't remember at all. I remember putting my hair up like Bailey and wearing the like I'm a hugger sweater, and that's about it. And then the first like live independent show I went to was a Real Canadian Wrestling show. They had brought in D'Lo Brown, and it was while I was training at Lance's. And then I cried in front of D'Lo, and I'm not going to go anymore into that.
Oh, you can't say that.
I was just like a nervous kid, and he asked me to ask a question, and I had no question to ask, and so I cried. But yeah,
I absolutely love D'Lo.
Kid, it was 3 years ago.
He'll probably be one of my favorites. So, top 3 wrestlers in the world today.
Oh no! Oh, that's so hard. Sasha. I don't know. This is very difficult. Roman Reigns. And this is very hard. It's hard to narrow it down to just 3. I'm gonna say Hangman Page. I very much enjoy his work.
Oh, that's
very,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So next one, all-time favorite wrestling video game. If you played any.
I never played them. I have I can see them sitting, but I never played any of them. I'm gonna say whichever was the one on Wii, but it was SmackDown versus Raw, whichever the one like the Nintendo Wii had.
2008. I think it was 2008.
Yeah.
I had Bobby Lashley on the cover.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it right now. I can't. Oh well, it's
Don't
I'm
quote
sure
me on it.
it had Raw and SmackDown on it, so I'm assuming it was Raw versus SmackDown. I don't know if the Wii was around at that point, but it was on the Nintendo Wii. That's all I know.
All-time favorite wrestling entrance theme.
Oh, so I had a friend ask me this the other week. Oh, it's so hard to pick. Oh, I'm gonna go with Dolph Ziggler's. I just always like Dolph Ziggler's. It's very, very good. I'll listen to it in the gym occasionally. It's sweet.
So the next one, I think you kind of answered this earlier on, but I'm going to ask it again. Your all-time dream opponent. But I'll change it. Your all-time dream opponent from any era of wrestling.
Oh, any era of wrestling. See, that's hard because like I want to wrestle everybody. Right now, actually, Manami Toyota would be like my all-time favorite any era. She's so good. If like people haven't watched her work, go look up her. She's so good. I've stolen quite a bit of stuff from her.
And final question. Your goals for the rest of 2022 in wrestling?
I want to be able to work as many different places and work as many different people as I can. And just try and get my name out there, and also try and get see like my friends get their names out there, because there's so many good people that I'm around that like deserve people to see them and know who they are, and them being able to get booked. So like my goal is just like me wrestle everyone and everywhere, them wrestle everyone and everywhere, and hope that Canada, everyone gets their names out there. There's awesome. A lot of good, and I need it to be seen.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I can't wait to see what the future brings for you. Make sure you have a fantastic day. For anybody who's watching, make sure like, comment, share, follow Zoe on all social media platforms. Watch her matches on YouTube. I'll be dropping all the links in the comments for you to go and enjoy. Take care, Zoe. Thank you.
Thank you.